The Decline of the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty ruled in China from approximately 206 BCE to 220 CE. During the later period of Han rule, the dynasty had some political difficulties. In 184, a large rebellion broke out. A group called the Yellow Turbans led the rebels. This group tried to overthrow the emperor. The Han formed a huge army to stop the rebellion, but had little success. 8 of the last 14 Han emperors who took the throne were 15 years old or younger. Usually, the advisors to these young rulers actually held more power than the emperors. They often abused their power for personal gain. Their poor leadership blocked efforts to stop the rebellion, which continued for 20 years. Okay, so this is the same rebellion we talked about in the other article. The Yellow Turbans tried to overthrow the Han Dynasty. The emperors 8 of the last 14 Han emperors were under the age of 15, which means that their advisors and their people above them had more power than the advisors because they were so young and they abused the power. Okay, so this rebellion went on for 20 years and it didn't really stop the rebellion. In 2020, the last Han emperor gave up his throne to the son of a powerful warlord named Kaio. In doing so, he ended the Han Dynasty. Still, the Han Dynasty's achievements had a far-reaching influence. Many historians view this era as an important period in Chinese culture and history. The Chinese gained wealth and power. Even today, the people of Han refer to themselves as the people of Han. Oh, yeah. The last ruler of the Han Dynasty was Emperor Exandi. He ruled until 2020. He was forced to abdicate or give up the throne. Exandi was not a strong emperor. Under his rule, court officials became corrupt, which means that they started doing illegal things. They worked for their own gain instead of the good of China. 3 main groups struggled for power within the government. One was court officials. Another was the emperor's servants and bodyguards, and the third was the clansmen or family of the empress. However, while these 3 powerful groups were fighting within, other powerful forces were unsatisfied with the corrupt government. These groups were also battling for power and control. A shift in beliefs. In China, the wealthy elite or upper class owned most of the land. This land was usually worked by peasants. The work that the peasants did helped to make the members of the elite class richer. However, the peasants remained poor. The peasants were hungry and powerless, so they turned away from the state religion of Confucianism. This religion taught that people should follow the rules of society, and instead they turned to the philosophy of Taoism. Okay, so this is the beginning of the fall of the Han Dynasty. So remember, the Han Dynasty believed in Confucianism, which was that people should follow the rules, and there was a lot of respect for elders and things like that. Okay, but the problem was that the rich people owned the land, the peasants worked the land, much like we've talked about all year long, kind of in all societies. The work that the peasants were doing would make the rich richer, but the poor weren't getting any richer. Okay, they were poor, they were hungry, they were powerless, and they weren't happy. They wanted to change that, so that's when they kind of started shifting from the beliefs of Confucianism and going to Taoism. Taoism, unlike Confucianism, taught that people should live simply and in harmony with the world around them. This harmony, called Tao, or the Way, was more important than any laws or social structure. Taoism called for a return to simple agricultural or farming life. Taoism repeatedly spread through all of China's peasants. Followers of Taoism believed that human actions would disrupt the natural order. This included action by ruler. Followers of Confucianism believed in loyalty to the government, and followers of Taoism did not believe this. Okay, so Taoism, we talked about this a little earlier, a couple weeks ago, believe that you should just live simply and in harmony with whatever's around you, and you should go back to agriculture and farming the land. Okay, so people who believed in Taoism, they believed that human actions would disrupt the natural order, so they didn't really believe in government. But Confucianism did believe in the government, so this is where we're starting to have a big problem in the Han Dynasty, because Confucianism is ruling the dynasty, but all these people who believe in Taoism are coming forward. The peasant became more upset with their position in society and with the growing corruption in government. They believed the emperor's servants had too much power over the emperor. In 184, these peasants attacked the North China Plains. The attack was called the Yellow Turban Rebellion. This rebellion was led by Zhang Zhu. He was a Taoist faith healer. The government raised armies to fight the revolution. It spent great amounts of money made from trade and tax revenue to do this. However, the government did not work well. Corruption in the government stopped these efforts from being successful. The rebellion would continue for 20 years. It would give us rise to a time of uprisings and political turmoil or unrest. In the end, warlords began to fight each other. They began dividing the power of the empire, and these actions were leading to the end of the Han Dynasty. Okay, so this is talking about that Yellow Turban group, which was a group of peasants who decided to attack the government. Okay, the Han Dynasty and the government spent a whole lot of money to try to fight back against the rebellion, but in the end, 20 years later, it didn't work, and the Han Dynasty fell apart. The Three Kingdoms. The central government was weakened. No one was in power. Now generals and warlords tried to take control of China. The result was a long, cruel war. It cost many thousands of lives. As a result of this fighting, the most powerful warlords finally took control. They divided China into three separate kingdoms. These were the Wei, the Wu, and the Shu Han. China no longer had a strong emperor or a central government, so China fell into chaos and civil war. This fighting would last for about 60 years, from 220 to 280. One of China's greatest poets, Tao Yangming, came from this era. Still, there was very little cultural growth during this time. It was a time that was similar to the Dark Ages in Europe. However, unlike the Dark Ages, the Chinese people did not lose their knowledge or skills during the Three Kingdoms era. Okay, so the Han Dynasty falls, and the central government is weak. And remember, though, in the Qin Dynasty, that is one good thing that he did. He started this central government. The Han Dynasty continued it. After the Han Dynasty was attacked by the Yellow Turbans, the central government was weakened, so there was really no one in power. Okay, so there was a lot of fighting for about 60 years, and China was separated into three kingdoms. The leader of each kingdom claimed to be the next emperor of all of China. The strongest of the three leaders was General Kaio. He had once been a protector of Emperor Xandi. Kaio founded the Wei Kingdom in northern China. Xandi remained the leader of the new kingdom in title, but Kaio held true power. Kaio died in 2020. Xandi turned over the throne to Kaio's son, Kaio Pai. This was the beginning of the Wei Dynasty. The Wei Dynasty conquered the Shu Han Kingdom in about 263. That left only two powers in China. The Wei Dynasty had early success against the Shu Han, so the Wei Dynasty did not last long. In 265, a Wei general named Wu Di, also referred to Sima Yan, turned against Kaio Pai. Wu Di seized or took by force the throne away from Kaio Pai. This was less than 50 years after the dynasty's founding. In 280, Wu Di conquered the Wu kingdom, he made himself emperor, and he founded the Jin dynasty. Wu Di died only 10 years after taking the throne. He had briefly reunited China. However, the country was too weakened by decades of fighting to stay together after his death. China's weak unity was quickly destroyed. There were revolts from inside China. There was also invading nomads from the north. The Jin dynasty ruled until 420. However, it was often attacked by outside forces and internal unrest. The dynasty ended, and it took more than 200 years before China was truly unified.